And the boys are back. ELF Live, your weekly Thursday night edition. I am here with my co-host coming out of the south of England, the United Kingdom, Matt Bressington. What is going on, my man?
Hello again. It's been too long. It's been like 3 days and we haven't been on call. It's been I've been lonely. Just
3 painfully long days where we have not been talking ELF football live on the internet. What is up, everybody in the chat? We got some real ones here. Marcus, always with us after missing one show for good reasons. SH, the boys from Fourth Down Fiasco. What is up, guys? Michael Klein, Panda Racing. Hello from my holiday. Hope that's going well. All right, guys. So that's a little bit of greetings. Welcome to our Thursday night show. We are entering into week 10. And if you're paying attention to ELF football, you know this was the signing deadline. We had an absolutely crazy week. But before we get into that, we're going to give you a little overview of what we got going on in this show. So we're going to talk about the signing deadline, the record-setting signing deadline. And then we've got Conspiracy Corner, where Matt and I are going to give our hot takes. We're each going to give a couple hot takes, maybe a little bit wild, maybe a little bit out there. And we're going to see how that goes down this weekend. And we're going to take a look then at the playoff picture. We're going to do pick'ems for week 10. Matt and I were looking at the fan picks so far, and we're a little bit confused at what you guys are thinking. So we're going to have to get into that. And then, of course, the highly coveted Matt's fantasy advice for any of you guys who have any pride with your fantasy team. Try and crack that top 10 like our man Jamal Clay has done. So that's what we got, guys. A lot of fun stuff for the show today. Feel free to chat and participate there in the chat. Give us your thoughts on everything. And Matt, what do you say? Without further ado, should we hop into the signing center?
let's get into. We got a lot to go through, so let's get into it.
We have a lot to go through. There were actually 102 moves, a record for the European League of Football. Somebody called Mr. Guinness from the Guinness Book of World Records because we have set a record, 102 signing moves for the signing deadline for the 2024 season. So we're going to highlight here just a few of kind of the big ones and go through what we got here. And we'll start off with a very big one. Matt, I know you're excited about this one. We talk about it off camera. The T-Roll Raiders have signed a new wide receiver, Chinqua Sweeting from Slippery Rock, a Division II baller. Thoughts on this one, Matt?
I'm a big fan. I really like Sweeten. I like the way he looks. He runs really well. Elite returner, has big playability, like Patterson level at release on the line. Like he's fast off that. Like he's electric off of the line, which I love. I need to see a bit more short, medium, like intermediate route. He's been using a run game a lot as well. So he's got a very diverse skill set. I'm gonna go a bit of a beamer here. I think he might have like all-star level receiver potential. Generally, he's like that good. Maybe not this late in the season, but in terms of the quality of him as a player, he looks excellent. He had a good career at Slippery Rock, then went on to the XFL with a Vegas team. Got 4 touchdowns, 230 yards his time there. So experience at a high level. Like not very many players in the ELF have played in the XFL or those kind of leagues. So he's bringing a high level experience, high level of dynamic playability. I think he's going to be kind of what they need to push, right? We talk about them and the Ravens like going back and forth. I really think this could be the one to edge them over the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean that's basically my big question is this going to push them over the edge? Kind of we saw the Ravens make a change at their AOI receiver. They got Malik Stanley, and that made a big difference for them. And if Sweeting is able to have that presence, if he's able to get that connection with N'Kosi Perry, we will see. But that's a big signing there for the Raiders. T-Roll. And we've got some more out of the Central Conference. Moving on to the Mercenaries, a friend or a familiar face in the ELF. Terrion Robinson is now with the Mercenaries. Matt, thoughts on this one?
Oh, I'm so excited about this one too. I'm a massive Robinson fan. I did the whole study on him during my Cologne videos and stuff like that. So he's absolutely one of my favorite receivers in the league. He's obviously just been over the LFA, what a lot of players have. He in Istanbul and then with Cologne was one of the best receivers, no doubt. I'm pretty sure he finished like 5th in the league, well, missing 8 games of receiving yards. Like he's incredible. He's going to be a big part of this offense from day one, of course. Naturally, with someone we're going to talk about in a minute, of him needing a trusted weapon. And Robinson is absolutely that guy. Has some of the safest hands, can stretch the field. Isn't like a massive, like physical wise deep threat, but can catch the rock over pretty much anyone. Has good intermediate and short route running. Has some of the greatest hands. Yeah, takes balls well. I think he has some of the best spectacular catch. We talked about that a few weeks ago. He is a dude that they can absolutely rely on. He doesn't need space to catch the ball. He can just catch it, and that's going to be very important for them. With a very limited time on their offensive line, we've seen the last few weeks, they need someone who can just make those kind of plays. And Robertson is that guy.
I absolutely love this segment, man. Guys, I hope you guys in the chat are sitting back and enjoying this. We're watching world-class European football analysis right here. Not from me, from Matt. I'm just hosting. I'm just giving Matt the space. So everybody pay attention to what we're hearing right now. We're hearing elite football analysis of the European League of Football. Okay, you touched on it though, Matt. Another guy that we're going to be talking about who he's going to maybe have a connection with, and that is because sadly, Carlton Aiken, VP, is placed on IR. He was really kind of the heart and soul of this Mercenaries offense and team in general. What are your thoughts on this one, man?
Yeah, I'm devastated. I mean, he's a leading rusher on that team by a mile. I've said in my channel 100 times. No one else in that team has 50 yards rushing. That's the whole team. And he has like 600 on his own. So he's, as you said, a heart and soul. We got MVP a couple weeks back. Has really been like, even in the background, me and him have talked quite a lot. He's like very invested in making this team great, and I'm devastated to see him down. I really am. It's been a hard one this week dealing with that.
That's tough. I mean, we love kind of the heart and spirit. And we talk about on the show too, when all of these problems were happening, excuse me, for the Mercenaries off the field, Aiken was still a consistent factor there and pushing through and then getting them to a win and putting up good performances on the field. But he obviously has to be replaced. And that's where DeAndre Clayton comes into play. Matt, what do you think? Is he going to be able to have that dual threat ability that Carlton Aiken has been able to bring this team?
He is a dual threat. I mean, it's pretty natural, right? You have a quarterback get injured to try and replicate his style by getting someone in who plays like him. And he does play like Carl, and even played in the same league before they went to the ELF in Poland. He is not as good as Carlton, in my opinion. He does have slightly flat feet sometimes in his dropbacks. His arm has the distance, and he can get a ball on a line. It just hasn't got that like snappy like pop. You know what I mean? On his arm, he keeps his eyes downfield quite a lot, even on the scrambles as well. Which with Robinson and with Spiller and those other receivers, you're going to want to keep it short because he doesn't have that much time. He has his eyes downfield all play. You're not really going to be able to do much. I mean, the offensive line's improved. They've signed people like Nunez and Dion, which are very good, and that will help a lot. But he needs to dial back, shorter field, keep everything a bit shorter, and hopefully use Spiller. Because I was a little bit worried that, Aiken has such a good relationship with Spiller on the field that we'd see a bit of a decline in the rookie stats because he's been electrically good. Like, he's one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. That's not even hyperbole. And I'm worried. I don't know if we'll see a drop because obviously Carlton isn't going to have as much receiver connection with Spiller or with any of his receivers. So that's what I'm very interested in. I don't think he's as elite as Carlton because Carlton is a damn good quarterback. But like, we'll see. He does have a good stature. He's about 6'2", 20. He can run. Like, is a very like for like. I'm just a little bit more of a fan of Carlton because I've seen a lot more of him.
Makes sense. And we got in the chat the biggest Helvetic fan of them all, Jamal Clay. Jamal, you came in right at the end. We've been talking about Helvetic for the last few minutes of the kind of, mix around that we've got going on there. But hey, hopefully the second half of the season looks good. And for Thomas in the chat, you asked IR list players, can they be activated after this deadline? Yes, they can. If a player gets put on the IR, they are on the IR for, I believe, a 3-week minimum. Isn't that right, Matt?
Yeah,
and
that's
then right. They can be activated. So IR here does not mean out for the season. So still on the roster, just on the injured reserve right there. All right, moving on down south to a little sunshine in Barcelona. They've had some interesting stuff going on off the field. And now a couple hopefully interesting things on the field. Barcelona Dragons have signed quarterback Grant Buchler. Matt, what do we got on this guy?
Former basketball guy. Interestingly enough, like good athlete when it comes to basketball. had offers to play basketball in college, chose Texas Christian University. He shows a good arm, which is kind of expected. He has nice accuracy, good pocket fill. The tape is limited because he didn't really play that much in college, but from the stuff that I've seen, a little bit of a doubt on if he can use the velocity, like the distance. Like his arm is good, but like it's not insane. And his intermediate
Yeah.
and short passing, I still need to see quite a lot of. He can hit some nice fields though on the outside routes, especially. Seems like he's kind of got them dialed in. I would like to kind of see if he's shaking off the rust. He hasn't played in a long time. Some of the stuff I saw was all practice tape bars. That it's like 2018 when he was playing high school. Was an elite high school quarterback. Obviously went to a D1 school, so clearly has the ability to play at a high level. But the big thing is offensive line. They've lost a bunch. They lost Nunez. They lost Middleton. They lost Cab at tackle. Like they've lost a insane amount of offensive line talent. So can Grant use that? I'm not so sure if he can get it done with this level of offensive line.
It's you mentioned it's been kind of a while since he's been playing in games. You're watching practice tape. It's a kind of a brutal one to be your first game back against the Stuttgart Surge and that defense. So good luck to Grant Buchler this weekend, but that's not all we've got with Barcelona. Barcelona making an interesting choice. They went with the American running back, Tony Williams Jr. We talked a lot on this show about how we're not necessarily sold on using an A position on offense at running back. There's only one other team in the league that is doing it, and that's the Milano Seamen, who are not really at the top of the league themselves. Matt, thoughts on this one?
It sounds horrible. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of move. I think there's better options if they wanted to go American running back, sure. But like he has some good cuts, he has some decent movement. He's a smaller back. He's only listed about 5'8.5", 205. So durability might come into concern if he's getting absolutely walloped behind a bad offensive line. He, in my opinion, so far from the scout that I've seen, limited as it may be, he doesn't have elite burst speed or quickness or vision.
Yeah.
I've seen some plays where he has like wide left open field. He'll try to go right into two players and stuff like that is kind of come up. He was all conference. I want to make that clear. So he does have ability. And he is 26. He's still, low mileage for a running back is still important. I just have doubts in offensive line. I have doubts if he can make a play when he's got four dudes that are like
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough run. I don't think that we've had a running back come in mid-season with a tougher situation to be in. So I'm not too sure. I hope Tony all the best. Obviously, I want every player to succeed in this league. I'm not so sure we'll see the most of him. I kind of like Carr in Milan, where we started off with like 1 yard carry because he couldn't get any space.
Yep, that's unfortunately probably what we're looking at there down in Barcelona. Guys in the chat are commenting on the elite fashion of the ELF live show. Marcus, did you plan your outfit today? Twinning. The ELF has decided to invest a lot of money in the wardrobe for this show, just to have a good polished image. So these are Louis Vuitton white T-shirts that Matt and I have. They run about $800 each. And yeah, we are twinning. That's the high production value of this show. Thank you for noticing, Marcus. Appreciate that. All right, moving on. Enough about fashion. Back to football. This next one makes me a little bit sad. It's the Centurions running back Gerald Amell being placed on IR. We touched on it, though, from the chat. He's not going to be out for the season. This just means that he's on the IR for a minimum of 3 weeks. This one, and I got to watch a few Cologne Centurions game in great detail when I broadcast their game, and big fan of this guy. He has been kind of a workhorse for this team, one of the bright spots on this team all year long. So we wish him a speedy recovery. What are your thoughts on this one, Matt?
Exactly. Like, couldn't wrap up better. Like, I've written about Gerald back in like 2020, so I've been a fan of him for years. Like you said, workhorse, man. He's been carrying that ball a ton, easing the pressure on Weed a lot as well, and kind of every way. And yeah, I'm glad that hopefully he'll heal up soon. We'll see him back in time for the late season because it'd be a shame if we couldn't see more of Gerald Alman this season.
Right. And, we talked about my conspiracy from last week, how the Centurions were supposed to be making the playoffs. So I need Gerald Alman to come back. So my crazy conspiracy theory holds true. So get better, buddy.
There you go.
All right. You got more running back action. Hamburg, our director producer Maxie's team, signed Phil Pasqualini, the European imports. What do you think of this one, Matt?
Well, start off, he's a good running back,
Yes.
but it's like putting a band-aid on your left arm when you've got your right arm missing. Like, like sure, like I think you need running backs. You have Hamadi, you have Harding Canida, that granted haven't had the best production, but part of that is because of the offensive line in which you just released one of your players for Dion, who has just joined Helvetic from the Sea Devils. It's a move. I'm
It's a
not
move.
sure it's a move. I don't really know the reasoning behind it. Again, he's a good running back. He's played with the Surge, as you can see there, uh, and he has had production at a high level. It's just it's a confusing from a team building standpoint when you already have some decent young running backs as well. Like Harding Kneeder's like 21, 22. Hamadi's not that old either. Both of them are athletic and explosive backs. If you give them support with their offensive line, then it would have been a lot easier. But rather than swapping out an offensive lineman to add a third running back into that rotation is questionable. And Hamburg have done a lot of questionable things in terms of their moves this season. They've made a lot of releases, and I'm not so sure about the signing, to be completely honest.
I like the way you package that up. It's a move.
It's a
It's
move.
definitely a move. So that's a move for Hamburg. But I love you, Phil. You're a great guy and great football player. Moving on, an interesting one. Another one that's another quarterback to go. The Milano Seaman getting rid of Zach Bronkhorst, who has not had the most success. He did pick up a few wins for the squad and had some ups and downs, kind of ending here on a down. This is an interesting one, Matt. Did you expect this? And what are your thoughts?
I somewhat expected a move. I was surprised by the person they brought in, but Zach has been inconsistent. He hasn't been great. Again, you could talk about offensive line, but or offensive play calling even because JFC hasn't been nearly involved enough for my liking. And there have been some issues with his overall play, so I'm not massively surprised that they've made the move,
Yeah.
especially when they're trying to push for they lost some key games. They could easily be positive at the moment, and they're far from it.
100%. I mean, I'm just looking at the last game of last week, and you look at his stats versus Jack Mangle of the Enthroners, and Jack Mangle outplayed him in every which way. And that would have been a winnable game for the Milano team. I mean, they beat him the first time. So I think you hit the nail on the head there with just not winning some games that you probably should have won. So they release Zach Bronkhorst and they bring in Maxie. I don't know how to pronounce that first name. Easton Saloon.
Eastern Saloon, yeah, I
Easton
believe that's how they say
Saloon.
it. Yes,
All right.
so
This man had been playing in the Italian football league. Matt, you watched tape because you made some videos about teammates of his.
I have
What do
indeed.
we got
Yeah.
here?
So for close proximity, first of all, Legano, not that far from Milan at all, so it makes sense. They've been able to see him in person. I don't know if it's the best option. The IFL was a bunch of great quarterbacks, including a former NFL one. They could have potentially brought him and his brother in, but that's a different, hypothetical for a different day. High motor, he's a solid arm, deep threat guy. Like he can sling the ball. His mechanics, though, he's a weird quarterback to watch. I say that in a nice way. He's interesting. Like he makes a lot of let's say plays. Some of them
Okay.
are very good, and you'll be like, "Wow, how the hell do you make that?" Some of them are like, "What the hell is he thinking he's doing with that play?" Like I was watching a ton of Giuseppe tape for obviously one of the best players in the IFL this season, one of the best players in the IFL ever, with the single most receiving yards in history, and I believe he accounted for like 80% of that team's offense. So he has a lot of reliability on Giuseppe, whereas in this season he ain't gonna have a Giuseppe to catch that ball. He's got a running back which is
Yeah.
fine, but the Logano didn't really have a running back anyway. And he's got JFC, who is good, but he's not Damon Sheehy Giuseppe, who's a former NFL practice squad receiver. I think he will struggle. Bad offensive line, poor run game, offensive play calling, had changes. Just give the ball to JFC. It's probably as close as he's going to get on that team to having someone like Sheehy Giuseppe. So I think we'll see Flores Calderon's stats take a big step up.
right?
I also think we'll see his targets. I think we'll see Salamon's interceptions go quite high too.
Well, it would be fun to see Flores Calderon at least get a little bit more involved. He has not been nearly involved enough in the first half of the season. Jamal says in the chat, is Milan going to be the new T-Roll chasing the ghost of a former QB? So the T-Roll Raiders chasing the ghost of Sean Shelton, quarterback there for years. Similar situation in Milano with the Seaman Luke Zaradka. Brought them a lot of success in the Italian league and then was their quarterback for their first year in the ELF, now being gone. Chasing the ghost of a former quarterback is a tough ailment for an organization. So we'll see what Saloon brings to the Milano Seamen. Not to a team that's had a lot of success. Let's move out east. The Vienna Vikings, and one of the most prolific defensive backs or athletes in this league, Xavier Edwards, is activated off the IR. What do we think here, Matt?
Weapon X. He's
Weapon
an absolute
X.
baller. Like kick return, receiver, running back, DB, wherever you need him, he can play it. I think we'll see him play a lot more DB just to keep him healthy. You don't want to rush him back too much and have more injuries. So I think we'd expect him to see not limited snaps, but not as much of his versatility opening up. And then we'll maybe see more of that in the playoffs. But yeah, because Xavier Edwards, we've seen him for years tearing people up. He looks great in the army green. And yeah, he's an absolute baller.
Does look good in that army green. And then sticking with the Vienna Vikings, Anton Reagan, the running back, has been signed as well, giving them some more depth at a already pretty successful run game, right, Matt?
Yeah, but Vegan's a legend. I love Vegan. I'm a friend of Vegan, so he's a great guy. He's been with the team for years, and he knows pretty much everyone in Austria. You ask someone in the Austrian football scene, Anton, they're going to say yes. So he has great experience. I think he was there last season with Bajarian, so it's good running back connection. He has had some time off to get his body back to being healthy. So I think it's a good move. I think it adds more of that championship pedigree to your team as well, which Vienna, they don't lack it, but it's quite a different team to what was last season or even in their championship run. So I think adding someone in that is very involved with the team's culture is only good things.
Yeah, 100%. And then in the chat, Fourth Down Fiasco boy said, just wait till Jordan comes back as well. I mean, the Vienna Vikings, when they have Jordan Bua return, they've got Noah Toure, got Reese Horn. I mean, a lot of options there for Ben VP, especially as they're hitting the second half of the season. Already 8-0. And Vienna Vikings clinched that Eastern Conference already. First team to lock in a playoff spot. So things are looking good there out east for the boys in purple and Coach Kalaikai. And then our last one of the signing center. I know we had a long signing center today. Like we said, it was a record. The Panthers, Wroclaw Panthers, are going to be moving on to their fourth quarterback of the season. Talk about a quarterback carousel. Matty Ice, Matthew Vitale is gone. Matt, what do we think? One game there. He's gone.
Yeah, tough. I mean, obviously he has stuff going on in the background where he's had to step away from football. So I hope everything's all right with him there. He was kind of thrown to the fire in a situation where he was never going to win. Like, this team's not good, and it wasn't built for him, as I've said 100 times. But it wasn't just built not for him. It was not built for any of the three people they've had prior. So it's been a tough one. I'm kind of happy we got some see Matty Ice back. It's a shame that we can see him for an extended period of time, and I hope everything's all good with him in his personal life too.
Yeah, 100%. He's a great guy and kind of beloved in the European and international football world in general. So all the best to Matty Ice. And we will see what the Panthers do in the second half of the year for quarterback. Now, moving on to Conspiracy Corner in a second here, Matt. We're moving on to Conspiracy Corner and hot takes. You and I have both prepared a couple of hot takes here. And Maxie, our director / producer, has created a nice little graphic as well. You see right here, this is me in the Conspiracy Corner. That's how I look when I talk about this stuff and when I think about this stuff. And last week, actually, my conspiracy was correct when I had the Madrid Bravos going down. Not too heavy of a conspiracy last week. It wasn't crazy. I'm going to get a little bit more crazy. I see some people in the chat making some conspiracy calls right here. So, Matt, shall we get into it? Our hot take / conspiracy corner brought to us by the Ninja Wood Fire Oven. Look at that beautiful wood fire oven.
Look at that. Beautiful. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Oh, there we go. Jinxed.
All right, let me see here. All right, a couple of you guys in the chat. I am let's catch up here. First of all, Marcus said from Signing Center. That was the last Signing Center of the year, by the way, guys. So that's it until we hit the off season. Marcus said Surge didn't make any big changes. They're great as is. That is correct. Very solid and consistent team. And then the M Bison, interesting. The Enthroners are going to end up Panthers this week. They're going to beat the Panthers. Very, very interesting. And he also says Mal's conspiracy is obviously going to be more Bravos haterade. This is my brand. This is my football brand. Just hating on the Bravos. And if you want to get that Ninja Woodfire oven, you can get it at the link in the chat right there. Make some delicious pizza. All right, Matt, start us off. We're each going to do 2. We'll go back and forth. Oh, I saw.
Oh, what?
Talk to me. Here we go. Give us your first one.
All right, my first one. Bang. Seaman are never going to win a game for the rest of the year. They're done. Their season's done. I don't think they're going to win any of them. They've had issues as it is. They've not made the adjustments that I think or I feel they should have made. They lost against some teams they should have beaten. And I'll read you out their schedule as well. So 3 and 5. They've got the Ravens.
Okay. Yep.
The Surge. Tyrrell. And then ending the season with Barcelona. So that's kind of crazy. It might be hot. But might be hot.
That's where it gets hot. Because those first 3 are obviously like, man, this is not crazy. And I think, really. That is actually, whoa.
I think I'm going to put my neck on the line. Barcelona, do not let me down. Milan, please kind of, I don't know, do let me down, I guess. But Barcelona have got their own issues. Milan have their own issues. It's going to be a classic lower mid-off as we end into the season. I think we'll see. I think we'll maybe hopefully see a bit of a Dragon saying, look, we're not going to go out of this winless. We're going to win this final game of the season, prove a point. So that is hot. I think it's a pretty good one.
I like that. Okay, I like that one right there. Essentially, you're basically saying that the Barcelona Dragons are going to get their stuff together by the end of the year to beat the Milano Seamen. Not bad at all. All right, I've got a little bit of a more crazy one. I'm going to start off with my casual one, my more believable one, and that is Bijan Harris will have another defensive touchdown this week. Previously, he had one. He had the forced fumble and scoop and score against Frankfurt a couple weeks ago. He had 2 picks last week. This guy is just a phenom. They are playing the Madrid Bravos, and I got to sprinkle in a little Madrid Bravos haterade when I make my hot takes here. But Bijan Harris, I think Stephen Duncan is going to throw a pick 6 to my man Bijan Harris. What do you think of that one, Matt? Oh, wait, you're disappeared. Hold on. Matt is lagging. Wait for it.
I'm all back.
I think he's back. Tell us where he's back.
I wrote down pretty much exactly the same thing as you did. But I had to change it up. I didn't say TD, but I said that he would have another turnover. Okay. Duncan has made a few turnovers. He hasn't seen Harris before, and I don't think he knows. I think he does, but I don't know. So he's fully bought into the hype as we are. Let's have a look. I think it's a very good opinion.
Okay. Don't let me down, Bijan Harris. Been exciting so far this year. All right, Matt, what is your second hot take?
All right, my next one, a little bit more believable. We're going to have 3 people to go over 400 yards this week.
Okay.
And I'll go a little bit further. So here are my contenders. The MVP has been very good. I've said probably that he's not an MVP, but he has been very good. He's playing a pretty damn terrible Prague Lions team at home, so he should be fine there. We got Riley, one of the MVP candidates, absolutely exceptional player. We've got Jadrian, who likes to torch France. He's got an all-time record against France. Don't let people sleep on that. He's still an elite quarterback. We got Chad Jeffries, who's playing Milan, so he's going to light them up. He's back. He's got Tommy Ward back. He's got Malik Stanley, who we can go all day about how good he is. And I think that's my guys. I think one of those or 3 of those are going to go 400 yards. Guys, if you bench out at halftime, when you're up with 399, I'm gonna DM all of you individually with a ridiculous amount of hate. You're all getting lowered in the
That
power rankings as well.
that's my only question there is if Ben VP gets pulled at halftime or Riley gets pulled at halftime because they're killing these teams, that's where you run into a little bit of risk. But it is a hot take, and that's why we got the hot take corner, conspiracy corner. I like that, man. I like that. I think we might have some kind of one-sided ones this week, and it'll result in a
Even
couple 400-yard games.
even Mangle's not like he's playing a bad, like that 16th ranked passing defense, and he's
Well,
on fire at the moment.
that is very funny that you say that. That is very
Okay.
funny. And that is why we're co-hosts together, because my second hot take, and I am dying on this hill, Jack Mangle will be the MVP of the week. All right, I called this earlier in the year and was so far off. Mangle let me down like nothing else. But I ranted about this on Monday. This team, the Enthroners, have stuck with him. I talked to Roby last week. Him and Mangle are now hitting a stride. They've got a connection. The offense has a connection. And the reason that he's going to win MVP is he's going to have some great stats as kind of part two. And, not to get too ahead of ourselves, we're going to do the pick-ems later. He's going to lead the Enthroners to defeat the Rovslaw Panthers. All right? Hear me out. These teams played earlier in the season. Rovslaw did win. But the first time that these teams played, they were pretty even on first downs. I think it was 19-20. So they're both moving the ball. The Panthers ran the ball much better than the Enthroners. Obviously, they've got Brzezowski. They've got a great run game there. But their passing game was relatively even. Okay. Now the Panthers don't have a quarterback anymore, right? They don't have a quarterback. And Jack Mangle is hitting his stride. He's getting hot. He is going to be able to throw all over. You said, I think they're the 16th ranked passing defense, whereas the Enthroners are actually I think they're 7th in the league in passing offense. So that matches up very nicely. And the Enthroners, they're really hitting their stride. And this is why I think we're going to have Jack Mangle MVP of the week as he leads the Enthroners to a victory over the fumbling Rovslaw Panthers. What do you think, man? Too bold?
I'm actually exactly on the same wavelength as you. I think he's going to do exactly the same thing. We'll get to the pick'ems, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on where I sit with that situation too.
There we go. And M. Bison in the chat says, I'm with you on this one now. If Enthroners take it. Yeah, I think that's the move. Those are our hot takes, man. And seeing that pizza oven makes me so hungry. I'm about to have dinner right after this. And I wish it was with that pizza oven. Some guys in the chat. Marcus says Surge and Vikes are in a scoring war for playoff placement. That's going to influence when they pull their stars during the easy games. That is an interesting point.
Great point.
Very interesting. And then the boys from Fourth Down Fiasco. I wish we could have seen a full Hellbig season. So do I, man. And I wonder. I mean, one of these European teams is going to sign him this offseason. They've got to. I mean, he is a European veteran. And what do you think, man? Do you think he'll be back in Europe next season?
Oh, 100%. I loved the Hellbig signing. I loved him when he was in Vienna. I thought he was a massively underappreciated quarterback because he did so well in Vienna. People forget about that. I watched all of his season during the pre-season stuff.
Yeah.
And I knew that he was going to be good. And people were like, he's kind of all right. I had him in like the top maybe 5 to 7 range. And some people call me crazy, but he was looking damn good for the time that he was in.
Yeah. Great quarterback, great guy. So I hope to see him back. All right. So those are our hot takes, our conspiracies. And we're going to see on Monday, we'll do where we were right and where we were wrong segment as well. Hopefully a couple of those fall into us being right. Now let's pull up here the playoff picture, if you would be so kind, Maxie. Here is what we're looking at. We took a look on it on Monday, but not too crazy changes. The only crazy change from the games played last week was that Paris and Madrid switched in terms of home field advantage and away. And we've got T-Roll Raiders lining against the Stuttgart Surge. They've got to play each other again this year. Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot that can kind of shake out, Matt. What are your thoughts on playoff stuff?
Oh man, I love it. Like I've said before, we get Paris versus Madrid, where maybe it could be a best of 3. We'll find out. We got one of them playing Vienna, which is like first. We might see them get fraud checked. Depends on how that one goes. We've got to see Surge versus the Raiders again. Like we've got to see that again, but it was close to the last time. and then Fire get to take on someone that they've never been before. We might even get a championship rematch in there before the final even happens. Like
We
insanity.
got this is just going to get so exciting. In the second half of the year, a couple teams fight and claw to make a playoff spot. And then once we hit the playoffs, ELF playoffs in September, I cannot wait. In the chat, okay, Drew Miller says Mangle got hurt in that second game. He missed several possessions, but sucked it up and went back in, and he missed the next game. Okay. So that's why Mangle let me down earlier in the season. I forgive that. That's why I stuck with him. Just like the Enthroner stuck with him, I stick with him. And Just Shot says, OMG now, if the Bravos are in there in that playoff picture, not for long, boys. Not for long. Not if I have anything to do about it.
You got to ride that train now.
I'm riding that train. I'm a little, I need the Centurions, and we're about to get into pick'ems here in a second. Maybe that's the good transition on in there. Max, you want to pull it up? Look at that. Beautiful. Look at that graphic. Just
Wonderful.
take a moment to appreciate those colors and that branding. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
It's nice.
Wouldn't change a thing.
All right, Matt, you just heard me talking. Now let's take a look. We're seeing here the distribution of picks from the fans. Now, Jamal in the chat said when I went on my rant about the Enthroners that he thinks the Enthroners might be favorites. Jamal, they are not favorites. I'm surprised, just as surprised as you are. 85% of people are picking the Panthers on this one. Matt, talk to me.
The 83 can go. I think it's all Enthroners. I'm thinking it's the other way around. Leipzig, QB issues. Mangle's on fire. Their confidence this guy had. Two wins in a row is good momentum. They've got that. Panthers are in a free fall. I'm taking the damn Enthroners.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is a great way to put it. The Panthers are in a free fall, and the Enthroners are hitting their stride. Robitaille and Jack Mangle connection. I like that. They finally got the run game also going a little bit. I know they haven't been great there, but it's just a lot of mess with the Panthers right now. And I don't know. I mean, do we know who's going to be the quarterback for them this week?
That's Josh Norwood, I believe, Max. You said, right?
Okay.
Sure? Yeah.
All right. So I am also in the minority there, as I'm going to pick the Enthroners. Maxie, put my face over there, and I sign that with Jack Mangle winning the MVP as well. That's a Nauf guarantee, which means nothing. So we'll see on Monday how we're looking. Next game, another lopsided one when it comes to the fans, but this one I think I agree a little bit more with. Matt, what do we got here?
Oh, I mean, I'm kind of surprised it's 2% of Prague, to be completely honest. I'm gonna go with Vienna. Holmes is one of my 400 club members for my hot take, so it'd be kind of weird if I said that Prague were going to win. He still gets 400 yards, but I think this one should be quite an easy game.
Yeah, I mean, not too much to say here. Padding a little stats probably for some Vikings guys, and I'm with you. MVP might be going for 400 or so. Kudos though to the 2% of people who are picking the Prague Lions. Gotta love that. Gotta love that confidence. We love it. And then another one, a Central Conference game that is even 1% more lopsided. 99% of people going with the Stuttgart Surge, who will be flying on down to Barcelona to play the Dragons. Matt, you got anything crazy here?
Surprised just 1%, to be completely honest. The way would be less. I'm going to go with the Surge. No surprises here. You know, they're one of the best teams in the league against one of the worst. It would be a cataclysmic shock if they did anything but shut out the Dragons.
Hear me out, okay?
Okay.
Hear me out, all right? The Dragon. I'm just kidding. But the Dragons do have some new players and a new coaching staff or new offensive coordinator, so it's kind of an unknown. So maybe it's not 70-0. Maybe it's 70-7.
Or 63-0.
63-0. Maybe something like that. There we go. Marcus says the biggest concern for the Surge this week will be the after party. That is more accurate than you know, Marcus. All right. To the Western Conference. A team that I won't shut up about. It's the Cologne Centurions playing another team I won't shut up about in a negative sense. The Madrid Bravos. 18% of people with the Centurions, 82 with the Bravos. Matt, where are you on this one?
So I got a little bit caught up last week with your conspiracy corner. I was like, you know what? Okay, yeah, we're gonna go with the unpopular opinion with Madrid.
Yeah.
that didn't do too well for me. So kind of annoyed with them at the moment. But given Jared Allen, I think they is out. I think they probably should be fine. Willie Patterson has been great this year again. Got Marquise Manning, so it means I don't have to worry about American DB anymore. I'm going to go with Madrid. I think it should be comfortable. If they had everyone healthy on Colonial B, maybe it's a different story.
Man,
Do
I'm struggling with this one.
it. You
I'm
got to
struggling
back
big time.
yourself.
I've dug myself a hole with Madrid, and also I've been pushing the Centurions. I love Gerald Amon, but he is on IR. Marcus, I like what you said right there. Heart says Centurions, brain says Bravos. I think that I am going to have to go also because Amelin is out. You know what? You know what, man? I might follow my heart here.
Okay.
Legalize it? Is that too crazy?
It's a move.
It's a move, as you said earlier about some signings from the Sea Devils earlier.
I mean,
I
you
gotta
did
think.
back it.
I'm chewing on this one for a second. Fourth Down Fiasco says, "Turn off the faucet, Nick. No more haterade." Guys, it's not haterade. I actually really respect and love the Madrid Bravos. It's just that I'm high on the Centurions. I'm high on the Centurions, big time. Maxie, have I stalled enough for you yet?
You got
Maxie?
Bijan.
I know. I got my boy Bijan.
How's Bijan
Give
going
me
to
him.
lock up with
Give me
Patty?
him. Give me him. I'm going. Give me him. Centurions. Even without Amel, they signed a couple new homegrown running backs. They're going to be just fine. Maxie, take the stage.
There we go. Nicely done. Is that what you were stalling?
Yeah, he told me to stall. He said, "Wait, hold on, stall." Oh, there we go. Turn off that cataclysmic. We have a cataclysmic event. So, guys, I got that. I do reserve the right up until Saturday morning to change that. Okay. But right now, I'm Centurions. I got two upsets already, man. I got two upsets already.
ELF Live is ELF. You got to lock that in. That's your choices. People have spoken.
All right. Let's move on. This, an interesting rematch of the Western Conference heavyweights. Musketeers, a team that beat the Bravos, as I sprinkled one last shot of haterade on Spain. Musketeers versus the Rhine Fire. Last game was 19-14. Rhine Fire able to pull it off, but very close. Matt, what do you got on this rematch here?
I'm so surprised it's this far of a difference.
Yeah.
Like, Paris were really close to beating Ryan Fire last game they played, and they had that punt return touchdown call back, and then they threw the pick with Zach. But Fire healthier.
Right.
They're looking at they're firing on all cylinders, if you'll pardon the pun. We've got Glenn, who is Glenn, and will probably have a below average game of 155 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Pathetic.
If I correctly predict that line, by the way, I'd say. Paris do have a really good D line, and they have amazing DBs, and we've seen them play before. I'm really split with this one. I'm going to kind of decide in a moment. Death Texas Ryan Fire. I think I got to stick with him.
Yeah, it's man, in the chat, the Fourth Down Fiasco dude say if Edwards cannot turn the ball over, it's true. There have been a little bit of turnover problems. I just think Ryan Fire were able to pull it off last time, right? Mm-hmm. This is without Harlan Quofi. This is when they were kind of in the middle of their passing game woes. I mean, obviously, Glenn was being Glenn and doing his thing and carried them to a win. But now, I mean, as of lately, the passing game has clicked a little bit. Jadrian has played quite good in the last 2 games. And I think that if they're able to have more than a one single dimension offense, we just got to go with the Rhine Fire, man. I think I've already picked 2 upsets. I am surprised, though. It should not be 15 to 85% from the fans. You guys are crazy. Yeah. It should be maybe 40-60 because this is a tough decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right?
Sure. And then without Mahonwu, we haven't seen him at all. He was my homegrown player of the year, like preseason prediction. He's been injured all year.
Yeah, that's brutal. We hate that. We hate that when just elite players like that are out. All right, give me the Rhine Fire, Maxi. All right, I can't go too crazy, but let us stand by that. This should not be a 15% to 85% split. It should be closer than that.
Mhm.
All right, Central Conference. Geez, 0% of people have faith in the Milano Seamen. I've got a new quarterback. Guess that doesn't change anything for you guys. Playing the Munich Ravens. Matt, tell me you're in the 0%.
I'm kind of 102% with a 2% margin of error that Munich are going to win this game. It should be pretty brutal. I think we're going to have a couple of turnovers. Munich's defense has quietly become one of the best in the league, especially with Vayoma, the New Zealand defensive line. I can't stop talking about him. He looks incredible. Definitely one of the most underrated defenders in the league.
Right.
I think he's going to run havoc. I think they're problematic. Like, even just from a stylistic standpoint, with a new quarterback that is a little bit wonky and inaccurate with throws, and you've got aggressive corners that can really pick that off, like Nitzlander. It's gonna be I think it should be quite a brutal game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on this one. I think the 100% is just fine. I think it is just fine. The Munich Ravens, they're in that stretch of 5 quote unquote easy games as they prepare to play the Raiders in week 14 for what should be a playoff contending game right there. Winner that should go. So Ravens got to keep building each week and keep aiming towards that week 14 game. And I think this weekend they're going to do just that. Speaking of the other team that is going to be in that week 14 matchup, T-Roll Raiders in the rematch against the Helvetic Mercenaries, who have new players that we discussed in the signing center. Last time these teams played, Matt, we just talked about how T-Roll kind of played down towards Helvetic. So T-Roll kind of plays up and down towards their competition. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I would love to be in the minority this one, but I don't think I'm gonna go for it. But like you said, they play up, they play down. We've seen that all season. Helvetic, last couple of games, kind of an offensive revelation, and then both their offensive players get injured. I think if it was Aiken and AFB, it'd be a lot closer. But I think given the time we're gonna have to spend to build that relationship back up with the new callback, new receiver, it could be a bit of a shootout. But I'm still favoring the Tyrrell team to get it done pretty easily.
Marcus says the same thing. Marcus says, sorry, Jamal, Raiders. Fourth down fiasco. The Ravens have only played 1 game in 4 weeks. Yeah, sorry, I should be more clear. I mean, when I say they're 5-game stretch, they're 5 remaining games of the season. Then many of them are very easy until they play their final one. That's what I was referring to. And I am with you on this one too, man. I think T-Roll, I'm going to get little action to Cozy Perry with Chinque Sweeting. Hopefully start that connection off. I mean, that's going to be very, very important as we hit this second half of the season. And the T-Roll Raiders are a team that very realistically could be in the playoffs. They're currently in the playoff seeding as of right now. So I think T-Roll Raiders are kind of finding their identity. They played great against the Surge a couple of weeks ago. That was the most difficult game for the Surge. And so I gotta go there as well. And our final game, another rematch, Galaxy and the Sea Devils. The Galaxy, a team having a disappointing season, maybe the most disappointing season in the league. Would you say that, Matt? Who else is more disappointing?
Right?
Yeah, gosh,
awful too. Both kind of bad.
Both. What do you think on this one?
This is a close game. I think a lot more than the people think. It was a close game last time. I know it's because Luke threw 2 interceptions at the fumbles as well, which kind of gave the Sea Devils a lifeline. But if you think about it, like, those were 2 very, very different teams compared to what we got now. Like, Galaxy don't have Luke anymore. They got McKay. Sea Devils don't have Smith anymore. They have Fulford. They've got obviously Pascali at running back and a different, basically, whole team. I am still going to favor Galaxy quite heavily. I think Sandro hopefully will have a big game with this one. Sea Devils have not really done a great. They've struggled with elite running backs, and Sandro is Sandro. So I think that he'll give them a lot of issues. They've got Kaya, they've got Shum, who's had a pretty good breakout season. I think even McKay could be one of those guys who goes over 400. And we know that he can do it. He's not had the most elite of seasons at the moment, but he's also coming in on a difficult situation. I think he could be one of those guys. Forfers make bad decisions. Galaxy have two great corners. Hamburg are kind of like messing around, and they've kind of regressed the last couple of weeks. I think Galaxy should win this one quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, they played earlier in the season, and Frankfurt won 24-18, but actually Frankfurt really dominated in terms of offense. They had 430 yards to Hamburg's 230. The problem was the turnovers. They threw 2 picks and lost 2 fumbles. And I think that was the only reason that game was close at all. I like what you said about McKay, man. That was almost going to be one of my hot takes that he gets in the MVP conversation this week. I think that he might go for 300 and another 100 on the ground. And he's shown the ability to do that. I do think I'm going with you. Frankfurt, pretty comfortable. Sorry, Sea Devils. There we go, guys. That is our pick'ems. That's for week 10. And we've got one final segment. It's very, very important for you fantasy football fans. If you're playing fantasy football with the ELF, RT Blues, welcome. You're here. You're late, but you're here. Better late than never. We are entering into Matt's fantasy picks. And there it is, the beautiful photo. Matt's fantasy advice of our resident fantasy football expert. Matt, give us some expert advice for this week.
I went a little bit safe last week. It was, I went a little bit. Today we're going off friendship and vibes.
Okay, nice. I like
That's
that.
what we're going to go with.
Like,
there's no numbers in this one. This is just, I've got the pen out as tradition. I'm going off for players that I like, and I want them to do well.
Okay.
There are reasons, and you'll see why. They're big names. But first one, I'm going to go with, you got an option, right? I think Helvetic and the Raiders, they play against each other. Robinson, a receiver, or a Sweeting. You take one of them. One of them's going to have a big game, if not both. I like Sweeting probably more because he's got a better quarterback. He's got a better system around him. I think Sweeting's going to have one of the better debuts from a receiver we've seen in the ELF history. Please don't let me down. Next one. Another kind of option choice here. We got Ben Holmes at Prague. The risk is he comes off at half. The upside is he gets 674 yards and 9 touchdowns. Because Prague do not have a very good passing defense. The alternative, you go for McKay, and he was one of my players I was going to talk about. He does have the advantage. The Sea Devils have got a lot going on. They've got 2 box safeties. We talked about last time. We saw how good Strater is, but if they can keep him out of the way with their improved, like their very good receiver core, let's be honest, they got 4 or 5 guys that are very good receivers, and he's got Markel Castle, who is one of the best players in the league. So that's one of them. All right. And then last one, Malik Stanley. Pick him up. He's going to have a big game. He's been kind of developing gradually as the weeks go on. He's in for a big one. He's playing against Milan, which do not have a very good passing defense. That's the kind of vibe we're going with. And I like all of them. And this is friendships and vibes, fantasy advice from Matt. So we're all good. I think that's some good pickups right there.
I like that a lot. Going off the vibes, just want the boys to ball out this week. And that's, sometimes that's just how you got to pick. You got to trust the gut. I like all those. And I especially like the Matthew McKay one because I do think there is a little bit of a risk of Ben Holmes getting pulled at halftime. That is the risk. However, just like you said, if he doesn't, he'll go for 900 yards. McKay, on the other hand, I do think that this game will be close enough, like not in the realm where Hamburg's going to win, but it'll be close enough that your starting quarterback is going to stay in the entire game, and that's going to give him the opportunity to have 4 quarters and pick up those stats. I like him, man. I might go with McKay. I might take McKay on mine. I follow your fantasy advice. I might do that.
That's why I give options just in case you can pick yourself. I'm giving the map. You can go wherever way you want.
And that's why you're the leading fantasy football expert in ELF history. Here we go.
All one. That's
one of one. There you go. There's no one like you. All right, guys. Matt, that is our show, guys. Everybody in the chat, everybody, thanks for hanging out, being here with us. Always a pleasure talking ELF football. It's heating up, guys. It really is. We're hitting week 10 here. There's a couple very big games this weekend, including the Rhine Fire Paris Musketeers. I'd say that's probably the main one that I've got circled. Matt, before we go, any other of these games do you have circled that you're really excited to watch?
I think, honestly, the Andronas versus Panthers. I just want to see the Andronas do it. Like, they could do it. They could put a 3-win streak together, which I don't think I've ever seen them do
No.
close to that. So that could be. You told me at the start of the year the Endronas would be in a legit favorites against the Volstead Panthers. I would have told you out of your mind.
Crazy. Absolutely. No, I got that one circled as well. I'm big on the Enthroners, big Enthroners fan right now. Love what they're doing. Jack Mangle, win MVP for me, brother. So I look smart. All right.
400 yards.
Here we go.
400 yards.
Yeah,
Not
400
399.
Need it. All right, guys. Matt, pleasure as always. Thanks so much for everyone in the chat. We will see you guys Monday after a long weekend of ELF football. See you then.
Bye.